So, this webinar is about child abuse, how to identify it, and how to prevent it. And I'm just going to give a history of child abuse prevention. Uh, child, child abuse prevention in April is a National Child Abuse Prevention Month. A child a tradition formally established in 1983 after decades of effort by children's advocates who pushed to create and change laws to protect those most vulnerable in society. The purpose of this month is to raise national awareness about child abuse prevention and how individuals and communities can help prevent the abuse and neglect of children. We know in 1874, 10-year-old Mary Ellen Wilson was a survivor of the first high-profile child abuse case in the United States at the historical time when animal cruelty was prioritized over the treatment of children. A number of prominent New York citizens advocated for Mary Ellen, including a well-known social worker named Marietta Etta Wheeler. Wheeler consulted the police on the allegations of physical abuse by Mary Ellen's adopted mother, but they declined to investigate the case, although there were multiple child assistance charities at the time. When Wheeler sought assistance from these charities, they lacked authority to intervene in the family. Eventually, Wheeler consulted the founder of the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to animals, called ASPCA. Henry Beth and his lawyer worked to find a legal mechanism to rescue Mary Ellen, and a judge ordered the girl to be removed from her foster mother. The New York State Supreme Court heard the case, and a jury convicted the girl's foster mother of assault and battery in the nation's first child abuse conviction. Following the rescue of Mary Ellen, Beth worked to create a charitable society devoted to child protection called the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. This development was the first in a series of steps to begin protecting children from abuse and neglect. However, notably, Mary Ellen Wilson's case only came to light because an unknown concerned neighbor called upon an activist who worked locally in the area to check on the child. In 1962, Dr. C. Henry Kempe and Brant F. Steele published their pioneering paper, The Battered Children Syndrome, in the Journal of American Medical Association. This article exposed the reality of child abuse and provided doctors with concrete ways to identify, understand, and report suspected child abuse to authorities. Less than 10 years after the article's release, all 50 states in the nation had passed some form of mandatory reporting law of child abuse. So, the child protection movement has continued to grow and evolve with federal legislation enacted in 1974 under the Child Abuse Protection and Treatment Act, CAPTA, which provided federal funding to states for prevention, identification, and treatment resources. In the early 1980s, the United States Congress made a commitment to identify and implement solutions to preventing child abuse, including designating the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Annually, child prevention advocates participate in the National Conference on Child Abuse and Neglect to identify better outcomes of child protection. Federal legislation funding child protection and abuse prevention efforts continues to be enacted, such as the Family First Prevention Services Act and Protecting Young Victims from Sexual Abuse and Safe Sport Authorization Act of 2017, as well as the Child Protection Improvements Act of 2017. Former President Barack Obama once said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." The numerous advocates who began the child abuse prevention movement are the change makers who refused to accept what was currently in place was the way it should always be. These were the people who fought to make the voices of children heard and who continue to inspire and activate current and future child abuse prevention advocates. As a nation, we have evolved significantly since 1874 in our commitment to protecting the most vulnerable in our society. However, this change would not have happened without those who were willing to pick up the torch and pass it to the next advocate. Remember that the initial flame, which sparked a nation's attention and response to child abuse, was lit by an unnamed person, a concerned neighbor who identified a child in great need of help. Each one of us has the opportunity and responsibility to change, to be a change maker and a torch bearer to child abuse prevention. Light the flame, carry the torch, and never stop advocating to protect the ones who need it the most. So this is just how child abuse started, how the awareness and how it was by a neighbor and it was being caused by a child who was abused by her foster parents. And I will, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Veronica from Wem'Afrika, and this is my webinar about child abuse. I mean, identifying how to identify what is child abuse, how to identify it, and how can we prevent it. But first of all, I would like to my speaker. I don't know if Madame Pauline, if she's free, she can introduce herself and just tell us anything about what she has prepared for us.
Hi, hello Vera. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I don't know what's happened with Mela. She tried connecting. I don't know, she left. I don't know if it is internet issue or not. Let us see how we go. And we're just few people. Hi, Luma. Hey, hi Fiona, Agnes, and Claudine. How are you guys doing? Let me see if my face will be clear here. All right, Bale. Good.
We are fine, thank you.
Let me share my screen, please. Here. You guys see my screen? Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So you're all welcome to this webinar, and thank you so much, Vera, for hosting this webinar. And you're so passionate about this topic, and I'm happy to support you throughout your journey with this child protection issue. Firstly, I want to let you know I had a speaker on this topic, but the person said he will be available. So I had to jump in and create a presentation for you guys. Please permit me. I know I'm very strict with my presentations. I know this one, I just did my best. So please do bear with me. So my topic today is ensuring children's welfare and prevention strategies. Prevention strategies. So when we talk about child abuse, a lot of things that comes to our mind, right? We know it's about an issue of making the child feel comfortable. And let's keep in mind that we are primarily responsible for the kids, for the children, either in our environment or in our home or in the society. We're primarily responsible for them. Why? Because they're very vulnerable. Because they are very vulnerable. And what are the major threats to child welfare? We have child abuse, which can be physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Physical abuse, maybe if the child has burns, the child is feeling pains. Emotional, maybe the child start distancing themselves. Sexual abuse, either from the perpetrators, those older than them, than their family members. As Vero just explained with a brief history, she mentioned that the first case was being pointed out by the neighbor, and the perpetrators were their foster parents. So that means is everybody is a victim, or everybody can be a victim, everybody can be a perpetrator for a child, and never blame the child because the child doesn't know anything. Another aspect is child neglect, lack of basic needs like food, healthcare, and education. I think this thing we can talk about mostly in schools and at home. At home, a child from 0 to 17 years or 18 years, it's going to fend from themselves. So we are responsible to take care of them, to provide healthcare for them, to always support them in terms of need. Because why? They are vulnerable, and it's also our primary response to take care of them. Talk about trafficking, exploitation, forced labor, and domestic servitude. When we talk about child trafficking and exploitation, I think it's very common in Africa in terms of forced labor, where we tell our children or our siblings to go and fend for us, to go and go to the market, go something and help the family, support them, especially the elder ones and also the men. They always tell them to go out there to look for food to fend for their family. Early child marriages and gender-based violence, online risk, cyberbullying, and online perpetrators, conflict and displacement, war, and natural disasters, forcing children to be onto unsafe conditions. These are the major threats that these children are facing about child abuse. And I'm going to ask you, I think most of us are adults. What have you done so far to protect your child? What have you done so far to save a child? When you notice that, what do you do? Do you just stay quiet and say it's not my child, or rather you say that you express your thoughts towards that? No, okay, let's see. So what are the prevention strategies and legal policy base? Talk about enforcing child protection laws, bed registration and identity protections. With this bed registration and identity protection, we have to note that um most times, especially in the developing world, because of the condition, the poverty and the hunger, sometimes parents or the mother will put to bed in a rural community, and these policies or these offices, institutions are not present. Therefore, the child is not registered. And when the child is missing, what do? They use the word of mouth. They start asking, "Have you seen this child? This child is put on this kind of dress." But when it comes to developed society, you realize that every child will be put to bed, whether in the rural community or in urban setting, there is an institution or in the hospital, anywhere that tells you that you have to register this child. Why? For the purpose of their safety and their reconnection. So if anything happens, you can easily identify them away from the words of mouth. Another area we can talk about is strengthening social services and welfare agencies. I want to ask you, are you guys aware of any social service and welfare agencies in Cameroon? And if you are aware, what have you done so far to help these children? or it's the ministry that is to focus on the social services? And how do they create more awareness that this thing really exists? Or except when there is a crisis, except when the child is missing before your aware of these institutions? Or what have you doing? So what have they done so far to make sure that this institution, these children are aware that when there is a problem, they have to reach out to these institutions? And supporting international treaties like the UN Convention on the Rights of Children. Rights of Children. Okay, hold on. The prevention strategies and community family base. Okay. So we'll talk about the parental education program, teaching nonviolent discipline and child development. Child development. Most times we tend to really focus on our parents. We tend to really love our parents, and anything they say is correct. Even if they use the cane, even if they use strokes to correct us, we know it's okay for them to beat us. But when it comes to the developed world, it's not acceptable. Why? Because the child doesn't know what they are doing. They might maybe just doing things because of what they feel to do. And there's a way you can discipline your child into a way that it's unacceptable in the society. But what are the measures, what are the strategies for you to really work on that for them to not use violent means to discipline your child? I know in Africa or in developing countries, it's been accepted. It's been saying, okay, the child has to be listened through the whip or two strokes for them to be disciplined. But when we look at the consequences of it, the long term of it, the child becomes more violent. The child doesn't know how to express their thoughts, express their feelings, and make sure that there is a distance between their parents, and the distance between their parents and the child. There's no relationship. They tend to find solitude in their environment, in their social settings, than finding solitude with their parents who can really protect them. Talk about community watch groups mobilizing local leaders to prevent child abuse. I think in every community we have leaders who are welcoming. We have leaders who are willing to support these children, willing to be available. But are these leaders approachable? Are these leaders making themselves really available for these children? Or these children are so scared that if they express themselves to this leader, they will not help me, or they will report me to my parents. They'll try to relay what I said to them to my parents, and now I've become not a bad person, or not be encouraged. I'll suffer more at home. Another thing we can talk about, a child-friendly spaces, safe play and learning environments. I think one of the safe places that children can express themselves is in schools. What institutions are you sending your children? Is it a private or is it private? Is it a religious school or it's a public schools? And how are these schools implemented? And how is the environment? Do the parents still use whips to cover these children, or rather they use ways in which they can interact and discipline these children? Encouraging report mechanism, establishing child helplines and services. Okay, if these NGOs are working with child abuse, do they have a helplines, or why that they don't care about it? All you focus about just receiving funds and just want to be able to say we stand for we are protecting these children. And how do you report them? Do you report them once in a while? Do you report them every month? So these are the things that we have to think through when you're talking about saving these children, or how to help them in the community and family base. Any questions for me? So we'll talk about the prevention strategy in terms of education and awareness. We'll talk about the school-based programs, educating children on their rights and safety, media awareness and campaigns, spreading child's protection through messages, radio, TVs, and social media, engaging cultural and religious leaders, advocating against harmful traditional practices, peer-to-peer education, training youth to educate their peers on child safety. So these are the ways in which we can really create awareness. Now many children are online and they don't even aware that they're being violated, they're being abused. But when you use your platform to really shed more light about child abuse, they've now become aware that they're being abused, and they can now express themselves to you or to the authorities what's happening. So how do you use your how do you use your platform to create more awareness in this issue affecting the society? technology and innovation, AI, digital monitoring, tracking child exploitation online, e-learning and digital literacy, teaching children on online safety, mobile apps, and online providing commissioner reporting platforms. Now lots of children are now online. I think I don't know if it's from 9 years, 9 years now they are now online, and they're being exploited. I think just 2 weeks ago, while watching the news, I noticed that there's a headline that says there was a child who killed himself because he was so addicted to the AI. I think there was an AI name. I don't know. He was so addicted to reading. Or whether the AI gave him a command to really kill himself for them to prove that he loves him or loves her. And the child was about 17 or 18 or 17 years old. And I asked myself, oh, wow, these things are really happening. What about the children in Africa who don't really have these resources? And when they get so excited with these innovations and with these applications, they're just being abused because of the excitement and lack of knowledge. They're being abused. So what do you do so far to really help these children? What do you do so far to really shed more light on this platform to make them know that they are being abused and violated? I just want to remind you that these children don't you shouldn't blame them. It's not your fault. They are not aware. But the more aware you are, the more they want to partake, the more they want to prevent, the more they want to engage in these activities of child abuse. So they're implementing strategies in Cameroon, strengthening partnership with organizations like UNICEF and Save the Child. If you have been following up UNICEF Cameroon so far, they have been helping so much in registering children with birth certificates, and that's a very good way to really identify these children. So how is the identification done? Is it just being manual or through technology, through online platforms, or through the reports? How is it being done? And hopefully that if a child has been missing, if a child is get missing, they can easily track the child, who are the parents, or the vicinity where the child lives, and this can able to now reduce the child trafficking especially in the conflict zones of the northern part of Cameroon, the Boko Haram, or in the northwest part of the region where there's a crisis. So these things can reduce and also prevent child labor, prevent child labor. But when these children are not being identified, anybody or any group or individuals who are head of crime and integrate these children into these organizations or to these terrorist attacks or terrorist platforms to change their mind, change their mentality. The first thing they can always do is always their mind. They always tell them that no, you can do this, you're a boy, they have exploited you, they have killed your mother. They have a lot of words they use to these children just to convince them. And when they do, for you to shift their mind, it's really a process. It's really a long process. So what are we doing so far to make sure that these children are being protected? So if you're an organization like us, if you belong to Wem'Afrika, and you want to be a part of this organization, we have to look for ways in which we should integrate, we should work with the UNICEF and Save the Children, where we can really shed more light on what's happening. Do you know that I think now when we compare the developed countries and the developed countries and the developing countries, there is a high percentage of children who are being registered, unlike in the developing country. And why would I say so? In terms of the population, Africa has more population than the Europe or the other continent labor force. And you know that these children start working maybe by the age of 5 or 4, 6, 10 years old, especially in the mining, especially in those rural areas, just for them to provide for their families. So if we as an organization are going to the community to help these children, to let them know that no, we are here to give you, to support you. Go to school. We're going to support you with the items and school fees and whatever thing to make them more comfortable. Do you think these children will be able to leave what they are doing and focus on education? So, if as an organization we have to really work towards that by partnering with international organizations, partnering with other organizations who work towards to shape these children, integrating child rights and protection education in schools. I think with this area, Veronica will talk more about it because we have done a lot of effort to make sure that this child rights and protection is in schools, and enhancing legal enforcement and prosecution of child abuse cases. when talking about legal forces, the legal enforcement, I think most times we go to the police and we go to to social affairs that take care of children. What about organizations? Are we willing to support these children? Are we willing to help them to protect these children? What about the lawyers? Thank you. What about the lawyers who are willing to help these children? They just abandon, they just seek for funds before they can help these children. Are we willing to really sacrifice ourselves for the benefit of these children? Establishing support centers for abused children, promoting digital literacy and online safety programs. So these are ways in which we can implement this in Cameroon for us to reduce this crisis, reduce this malaise or this social ills of the society, make sure these children are being protected and their welfares are good for the society. So in conclusion, child welfare is a collective responsibility. Strong laws, education, community involvement, and technology-driven solutions are key. And also investing in child welfare ensures a brighter and safer future for all. Let's keep in mind that and now if we take care of these children, when we get older, these children will take care of. But when we don't take care of these children, even in our old age, we'll still be taking care of them. So thank you so much to everyone. If you have any questions, I'm willing to respond to. Over to you, Vero.
Thank you, Madam Pauline. Please, there are no questions. Nobody. So for all the presentation of Madam Pauline, nobody has any question. Noella has not joined us yet. Or is Noella around?
No, she hasn't.
Okay. Okay, let me take from here. Let me share my screen. Thank you, Madam Pauline, for this great presentation. So I'm just going to add more highlights to what Madam Pauline said. And let me share my screen. All right. Madam Pauline, please can you allow me to share my screen? Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So Madam Pauline has actually said almost everything in my in my presentation, but I'm just going to add more highlights on how can we identify child abuse in our community. You know, we always talk about child abuse, but now how can you really identify that child has been abused? Firstly, identifying child abuse can be very challenging. You understand? But there are signs and behaviors that indicate that a child is being abused. Like you can see it, especially when the child is always having bruises, unexplainable. The child was having unexplainable bruises, cuts, and burns. From this image, you can look at how this is how some parents are actually handling their children at home, as in they are correcting the child. This is how some parents will handle their children at home, and obviously this child will come on, they will come out with bruises on their body, and that is child abuse. It is bad. There are ways to discipline a child, not in very bizarre ways. And you can really you I had a neighbor back in Douala, and this is how she would beat her child until she will use sometimes she will use they call it there's this she will use a pot, the cover of a pot, and hit the child's head. Or there was a day she used lighter and burned the child toenails, like burn the child's toe until the toe was getting it. In the name of the child was stubborn. Yes. So Madam Pauline actually said these children don't know what they are doing. We just need to guide them. Yes, they can be very difficult. And sometimes we can be going through our own issues and anger. Something can just lead you to do it. But I think if the child gets you, if the child is when you're angry to a certain level, I think it is best not to touch the child at that period of time. Just walk away from the scene, and when you have calmed down yourself, then you can actually call the child and say, "Oh, this is what you did, and I don't like it, and this is your punishment that you serve." Because beating a child out of anger, that one is very dangerous. It is very dangerous. So these are the physical signs, and we have behavioral signs. Like the child will change when the child is being abused at home. You see some fear. Sometimes the child will go to school, the child is always scared, the child is always scared in class. The child doesn't want to participate in anything. The child doesn't even sleep well at night. The child becomes poor at poor in everything that the child does, because the child is not having good rest, lack of trust. Like the child will just be acting in a very difficult way in public. It is shown. So when you see a child being isolated, like when you see, oh, it's a child always trying to isolate himself, that child is facing something at home. It's good to go towards the child and ask, what is wrong? Why are you isolating yourself? Is everything okay? We also have emotional signs, low self-esteem, depression, aggression. You see some children are very aggressive. You understand? So there are some emotional signs that you will notice from a child. A child's low self-esteem is very, 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 very common among children. You see a child doesn't even know how to express he or herself, because the child is feeling, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So when you see those signs in a child, because it's difficult for a child to come up and say, I've been abused. Some of the children don't even know what abuse is all about. They don't even know. So if we see these little signs, it should call of attention that this child is going through something at home, and we need to identify it and know how to help. And we have verbal signs. This is the most common sign, because some people will be like, I've never hit on my child. I've never, I don't beat my child. No, nobody touches my child. But the words that person gives to that child is even more than the beating. You will see a child will do something, get away from here, witch, wizard. Those kind of big words that we use on little children. And the child doesn't even know what you are saying, but your words are manifesting in the child's life, because our tongue has power, as we know. We know, all of us, we know that tongue has power. And these verbal signs affect the child more than even these physical signs. In fact, because the words that you say on that child, the child turn out to become that person in future. Some of us back then, our parents were not aware of these things, and they would just insult us, use verbal words on us, and now some of us are even trying to break those words. So we tell them not to do it on our children. If you're angry with a child, just let the child go, and I will deal with you later. Don't curse the child or use very harsh words on the child. You understand? So, and when you use those harsh words on the child, even the child goes to public, even the child, someone says, "Oh, you are strong." Say the child will always know that my mom has always told me at home that I am useless. So you are nobody to tell me that I am useful. So we should be careful. We should always know that these these verbal signs affect the child, and you can even know discloses, like the child discloses abuse and neglect, and the insult we give to the child at home, the child uses the same insult to his friends. You will see a little child of 5 years old or 6 years old insulting his fellow brother that a wicked man, using very heavy words on his old fellow age mates. That's when you understand that these are the words the child receives at home. So it will expose us. So I think that we should use good words, we should use polite words to the child. We should use polite words to the child, so that the child can, from the way we express ourselves to the child express himself better in the society. Then community science, yes, high crime rates. You see, the child will tend to steal, because uh, probably the child is not feeding well at home, or lack of finances. Okay, you are not giving the child food, or maybe you are telling the child you have to fend for yourself, you have to fight for a little child has to fight for himself. How? You tell the child, you have to fend for yourself. Go out there, look at your friends in class. They're taking first. What are you doing? The child will tend to steal. Jealousy comes in. So I know that there are homes that they cannot actually provide for their children, and but I believe that we seek help, especially from uh, non-governmental organizations, as Madam Pauline said. We are ready to work with, collaborate with international organizations to help these children become the people that they wish to be, especially helping in the education by providing materials to these children. Like last month, I was in 2 schools and we tried providing some materials to the children, which was good, and the children were very happy, especially toilet pods and even a computer to school. But going as far as telling a child to steal, I remember a child, when I was teaching, a child would actually steal pens and pencils in her friends' bags, and she will resell them to those children. When they are looking for it during after break, she'll come and resell it and say she's selling it. And I did not know that was what was happening in class till a child actually, the child, when I stealing it, was so blind that she would steal pencils of a child that the name of the child is on it. And I had to ask the child said, that's how she has to survive. I said, survive how? A class 4 child. Surviving by stealing. So I just think that, please, if a child comes home and you see an item in that child's bag that you did not buy, tell that child to go back to school and return it. Because that is how this community science, it starts spreading. It starts spreading. And all these are caused by abuse, because the way we even you see a child, a mother even stealing from the neighbor, you'll be stealing in front of your own child. How will the child know that stealing is bad? The child knows that stealing is a way of surviving. So if you see a child constantly stealing, call for that child and say, what is happening at home? Was your father, or have you seen someone stealing before? That's how you see the child open up and say, yes, I used to see my auntie, my aunt, or my father, or my mother. So those are community signs of child abuse. And how do we address this child abuse? My Aunt Pauline gave more highlights about it by prevention. Now, we are working on seeing how we can pull up, because the approach we're trying to use in this child abuse is a community-based approach by creating more awareness, pulling up campaigns, because many parents don't even know that what they are doing towards those children are bad. Many people don't know. They just know that that's how they were brought up and they have to give it back to the children. So we have to educate those children, educate those parents, those caregivers, those people that are looking after those children. That, oh, this is bad. Mama, this is not what you're supposed to do. And as I read at the introduction, how child abuse started, it was from a neighbor that she saw that it was bad. So I think that it starts from home. If you see your neighbor doing something wrong with a child, just approach your neighbor and say, oh, I think this is the best way because this is going to affect the child in this way. So just you educating your neighbor, your next door neighbor, you are helping. And parenting classes, we can prevent it by giving parenting classes, community programs. I think community programs fall under these community-based approaches, and support services by providing support services such as counseling, financial assistance. This financial assistance now falls in us coming in to assist those children financially by helping them with their fees, their education materials, so that they can carry on with their future. By intervention, reporting suspected abuse cases. If you see those cases and you are afraid to approach it, go to any NGO around you and report those cases. Please. Don't say, minding my business. Everybody's minding their business. Because you are saving that child's life. You are saving that child's life. As the introduction, that neighbor actually saved that child's life. That child was brutally abused. So report those cases. If you cannot handle it, if you're scared of approaching it, then go and report it. And the organizations involved in those cases will handle it for you. Investigation, conducting thorough investigations, determine the extent of the abuse, removal of the child. Now, removal of the child from an abusive environment is very important, because even if you you talk to the child and say, go home, this is fine, but the child will still go back to abusive environment and the abuse will continue. And providing support services, we provide support services such as counseling, medical care to the child and family. I also think that some families are even too abusive to the children because they are going through problems. Maybe the mother is not mentally stable, the father is not mentally stable. It's not even about finances, and the children now suffer the effects. So I think that providing counseling to those people or uh, support services to them, it will help, because by helping the parents, it also help the children. We also have by treatment, counseling, support groups. Sometimes only in your quarter there, you can even be a change by saying, bringing one or two people together and say, okay, let's come together and fight against child abuse. Especially as mothers, you say, no, we have to fight against child abuse. Let's come together and fight against child abuse. Because mind you, you can bring your child up very well, give the child the best morals, and someone will abuse the child somewhere, and that child will come and intoxicate their child. It takes 1 second for a child to change and be a something else. So you helping the community is indirectly helping your own child, because if you want to focus just on your child, you are just deceiving yourself, because you send the child to school, you don't know what's happening in school. You send the child to birthday parties, you don't know what is happening there. You can never be around the child 100%. One time, so a child will just leave an abuse home and come and teach that child something, that child will just capture the whole all her life. So I think creating support groups, establish support groups for children and families who are experience abuse is very important. Be a change. Try to be a change. So come two or more, just bring two or more people and say, oh, let's try and fight child abuse in our quarter, in our community, and see how we can go. It is very important. Follow-up services, when we receive ongoing, like, you have to follow up the parents, the children, to say, oh, is there changes, because it's not going to take 1 day for them to change. By community involvement, like I said, we are going to uh, put out campaigns, awareness campaigns. As Madam eventually said, we are not just going to tell the parents that, oh, we are supporting these children, but we are not doing anything. So we are actually going to put up campaigns, and those parents will also involve in those campaigns. So we involve them, we involve also those teachers, so we can all join together and also try to collaborate with international and national organizations to make sure that this project push through, and this project will be very impactful. I was talking to Madam the other day, and we're saying that if we really plant this project down, we are going to see a lot of changes. Like what the NGO UNICEF is doing, she said is very good. We are also going to make sure that we are going to have a positive competition with them, and make sure that we are also going to do our own best to try and impact the community on child abuse, to reduce it, because it is rampant. You see a child of 2 years old, of 3 years old, hawking. The child can't even talk. You even ask the child, can you even count money? No. But the child is hawking, selling with the mother, or you see the child not even going to school, going back to the farm. So it is very wrong. So I think that this for us to focus on this, it is very important in the community, and how to help child abuse be prevented. So Madam likely said, I'm just going to brush it up: individual level strategies, um, education awareness, like this one now is how to like individually. This is about individual, like one-on-one, educate each other one-on-one on how we can help parenting skills. If you are good at parenting, teach the other person that this is how a child should do, this is how you should do with the child. Don't keep it to yourself and say, I'm minding my business, because that's what mostly happens. Parents be like, oh, I'm minding my business. Yeah, business is not is their business, everybody's business. Because as I'm saying, you send your child to school, that's when you know that that business they are minding is not your business. That child will come home and be stealing. Whereas you send the child to school, you brought up that child that knows stealing. Yeah, the friends in school tell him that stealing is good too. Stealing is good. So don't we should fight it at all costs. We should fight child abuse at all costs. Family level strategies. This is in family levels, like supportive family environment, parent-child interaction, how does a parent communicate with the child, family therapy, and community level strategies. We are going to use community level strategies in this project. As I said, we're going to use community-based approach or programs to actually see how we can help. And I carried out a survey, and these are the results. I'm just going to zoom it. And the questions I asked: how accessible are the healthcare services for children in your area? And 67% answered saying somewhat accessible. Yes, that is actually accessible, and 11% said no idea. So creating more, we are going to create more awareness on child services, but it's good that it's our phones also need to Google out and say, oh, what are the child services, healthcare services for children in my area? I think it might not be in your area, but somewhere closer to your area, you are going to know. For your opinion, how effective are the current educational initiatives on children welfare? 44% said not effective, 33% said somewhat effective, and 11% said no, not sure. And just for the fact that 44%, majority of people saying it's not effective, we're going to try our best so that next time it will be 44% that will say it is very effective. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how will you rate the overall welfare of children in the community? Nobody rated 10 on 10. It's showing that it is actually happening in our community, and we need to work on it. Many people were rating, the highest was even 7. And the next, it says here, are you aware of any existing child protection service in your community? And 56% said no. I was very shocked. No, but in Nimbe, we have one, the Ministry of Social Affairs. They also work with children cases. They also work with the child cases. I think you should just Google it. As I said, you just look around your area, anywhere closer to your home or closer to your town, and you should know one. It's good to just keep an address of one. It's very important. What type of child protection programs do you believe are most needed in the community? And 33% said counseling services, counseling services. And so we are going to work on that to see how this counseling can be going on, especially as these campaigns, this community-based approach. Well, obviously, we're going to give counseling on to parents and to also teachers, because child abuse is also not only at home but also in school. You bring up your child and a teacher will just use her anger and be beating your child in school. So we're also going to teach those teachers too. Please provide any specific incidents of child neglect or abuse you are aware of. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Please, so far, are there any questions? Let's know that I'm just talking alone. Please, is there any question?
I don't have any questions for now. The presentation is well understood.
Okay. So I asked, please provide any specific incidents of child neglect or abuse you are aware of. And people were writing, someone wrote, this situation of child abuse has been so common in Boya, and mostly now that we are facing the Anglophone crisis. Yes. This crisis has touched a lot of children. I don't even want to go. It has touched a lot of innocent children. Innocent children. Imagine, sometimes I sit in my room and I say, imagine if I was little by then and I was a case. My parents were in those kind of situations. I mean, I will not be going to school by now. I will be in the farm or probably begging one uncle to assist me. So it just affected a lot of children. Someone said verbal abuse. Another person said several cases of fire incidents at home where children, in some cases, sustained severe physical injuries, and in other cases, death. Such incident occurred because the children are alone without parental control. Thank you. Please, if you are going out, beg the neighbor, or as I said, don't leave your children without parental control. Go and leave the child with your mother or with your sister before going somewhere. Don't leave the children and say the child can handle himself or handle herself. I had a neighbor here. She left the children 4 years and 8 years. There was no light. The children lit the candle and were using the candle. She went out. On coming back, the house got burnt and she almost died. Please. And she almost lost them because of what? I believe they can take care of themselves. Don't say that children are children. They don't know how to protect themselves. So another person also answered, many parents who sell in the markets often leave the kids at home by themselves to take them to the market and make them to sell too. It's very common here, very common. So I believe that this community-based approach is going to help a lot, because parents will be like, may they sell, may they help. No, we are going to tell them that how much those children bring to the table. If it's not 1,000, that 1,000 can help you to do what? We are going to work hand in hand with those parents. Another person said, like rape, refusal of the right of education, especially from non-biological parents. Yes, it's very common too. Abuse in school, yes. In school, it is very rampant in school. And those teachers, they want to show you not to speak. Every day when my son comes from school, I'll ask him, did your madam hit you? Where? So that at night, if it's hot, I will just take him to our madam, and our madam will pay the medical bills, because you can be slapping somebody's child, you don't know. Every day I ask him, it's good. When the child comes from school, always ask that child, did your teacher touch you? Where? It's very important. Don't say, hey, how is school? Hope you passed everything. Because that teacher will just slap your child and the brain, something will happen up here and the child will just be okay. But something has happened and the child will be having fever. You think that it's just normal fever. No, that is the result of that slap. Take the child back to school. The teacher will pay all the bills and the child will feel it. So it's good that we should educate those teachers on child abuse, lack of guiding children in a family. Yes, lack of guiding children in a family. So these are what people actually answered from the survey. And the last page, what types of child protection programs do you believe are most needed in the community? Oh, okay, I read this already. Okay, do you have any suggestions for improving child welfare policies? And the first person said proper academic foundation, sensitization of the importance of child welfare. Another person said business environments inside the city should be children friendly, as in children should be taken into consideration. I am looking for the last person. I mean, parents in this kind of local community should be educated better, because they don't know any better on their own. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. We have to educate those parents because they don't even know. Awareness campaign due to society illnesses. Okay. So this is the end of my uh, presentation, and I hope everyone has at least picked something on this presentation, because I don't want to start from the beginning, since Madam had already explained everything. Hers and mine are almost the same, but I just explained some things that she left out that I just wanted to add. And on the survey too. I also want to thank everyone who participated in the survey. I'm very grateful because this really helped me in carrying out my research. This is Noella. Is Noella here?
Noella is not. Noella is not around.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Probably light issues, because I'm actually having a power bank. That's why, but we don't have lights here yet. So I think that this is the best way to prevent child abuse in our community, and we are going to work towards the community-based approach, as I said, to create more awareness. We're going to work hand in hand with schools and parents too, because you can teach these children, tell them, oh, this is what happens if you're abused, come and report. But if you don't talk to those parents, they will keep on being abused. So we'll start from the parents and also talk to the teachers, give some counseling services. So, Madam Pauline, do you have anything to add so that we can conclude? We are already out of we're already 8 minutes. We're supposed to end at 5.
Yeah, Vera, thank you so much for your presentation and this initiative to really work on child abuse. I don't know if I can put my video on. Okay, let's see. Okay. So Vera, thank you so much for this initiative and your willingness to really support these children in this issue of child abuse, because it really affects our community and our parents too. Because you haven't, I think you haven't spoken about your project that you're working towards. Can you share more light about your project?
Okay. The project I'm working on is obviously on child abuse, and I'm actually working on seeing how we can actually reduce the rate of child abuse, especially in Limbe, especially in the southwest, and precisely Limbe. And the other day I was at the Ministry of Social Affairs, and we were talking, and they said, actually now we are trying to put out a date on when we can start putting out the campaigns, and because the concept note is ready already, and I think Madam and I were speaking that maybe we'll probably put it on May or June, or even probably maybe next month, depending on how uh, support comes in. And I'm also I'm trying to reach out to people, to collaborators, to other stakeholders. I'm trying to reach out to them so that they can come in and we work hand in hand, because this is going to be like we are trying to see even if we can change one person's mentality on child abuse, because we're trying to see how we can create an impact to the community, and it's not going to be easy, because changing the parents' mentality on how to train a child is not going to be easy. So it's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of work. And so that is why we're actually taking things step by step. We don't just want to say, okay, we've carried out a project, done and dusted. So right now we are still working to see how we can put on a date. But for the campaigns in April, before this month runs down, we'll actually start passing out announcements on, because I was telling Madam we're going to do 1 year in Nimbe, 1 year in my four, and one in Nimbe, and in town, so that we can get some statistics, like we carry out another knowing what are the cases, because there are cases, they're actually cases, but they are hidden. They are hidden. So we're going to find out those cases and see how we can actually help out.
Thank you. So in addition to what Veronica said, we are working with a community-based approach to really identify cases of children. And we're thinking of starting it in by June or May when these kids are at home. Because when they're in school, you can really identify it. So we're going to have it from two approaches, one from school and one from home. From the school, as she mentioned through our presentations, we have visited 2 schools so far, and we have provided items for them. And we're still going to work with them, try to talk to them about child abuse and how we can support them in one way or the other to improve on their well-being and make sure they stay in school. So watch out for this project and reach out to Veronica. She's a project lead. I think all of us, we are members of Wem'Afrika. Blessing. So if you're interested, Blessing, to really be partake in this project, you can send us an email. You can send your email in the chat box, and then we'll reach out to you to talk about these projects. And so far, child abuse is a very important issue in our society that we have to work and protect these children. Because if we don't do so, the next generation, the next few years to come, the society will be something else. I think you can also note that with the use of drug abuse in secondary schools, it's alarming. And sometimes when you ask yourself, They don't have the psychological support from home. The society don't really accept them. They are not opportunity whereby these children are really comfortable. So they find solace in this drug use because if they said no, it makes them feel important. It makes them feel well happy. But when you look at the long term, the root cause of it, sometimes because of us as the primary people to really take care of them, we don't do so. So I think that's all I have to add. And please stay tuned with us and follow us on all our social media platforms and at Wem'Afrika. And if there's any issue, please reach out to us at wemafrica1@gmail.com, or send a text to Veronica and she reach out to us. If you have no questions so far, I think that's all. And lastly, for Nuela, I think it's the internet issue that is disturbing. So maybe we're gonna have a private talk with her and we will upload it on our YouTube channel. So if you want to have see the video, check on our YouTube channel at Wem'Afrika. It's gonna be uploaded. Thank you and all have a lovely evening. So Vero, you can conclude. You're muted.
Thank you, Madam Pauline, for actually creating time to be a speaker because I know you have a busy schedule. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for everyone who actually created time to participate to attend this webinar, and I'm so grateful that I actually started. Actually carried it out because I was actually at an event and I had to rush home just to do this, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. And I pray that this event works out well. I mean, I pray that this project we should actually sit on and see the impacts. And I also pray that everyone has actually grasped something on how they can prevent it around themselves individually or in so I am so grateful, and I'm so grateful to Blessing for attending. You're welcome. And Philomene, Agnes, okay, Claudine, I'm so grateful to everyone who actually came. Right, thank you. I'm signing out then. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you too, Vero.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you. Sorry for not mentioning your name.
Claudine, please stay put, please.